The 2018 high school draft class was loaded with arm talent. Headlined by Peoria's Matthew Liberatore, 5 of the top 10 prospects were pitchers. 3 of those pitchers would go on to make their MLB debut, and 1 would sign with the Japanese MPB team. And that leaves us with 1 prospect, the number 2 ranked player in the nation, who, as of July 20th, 2024, is no longer on an MLB-affiliated team. What happened to Ethan Hankins? Ethan Hankins first appeared on the national radar in July of 2014 at the 14U WWBA National Championship in Georgia. The incoming Forces Central freshman stood at 6'3" and 165 pounds on the mound for USA Elite, an incredibly impressive and projectable frame most scouts thought, as they watched the lanky youngster warm up. Throughout the outing, Ethan would sit in the mid-70s, touching 80 miles an hour, which was somewhat impressive for an 8th grader, but certainly not unheard of at this level of tournament. But what really caught everyone's eye was his unique arsenal. Most 14-year-olds in 2014 had a 2-pitch arsenal, consisting of a developing fastball and very raw secondary, usually a changeup or curveball. More advanced prospects may have a 3rd offering, once again usually another off-speed pitch that is very raw in the development stage. But for Ethan, he had a 4-pitch mix and had a fairly good feel for all 4 pitches. Other than his fastball, he had a curveball, slider, and changeup, all sitting in the mid-60s. While the arsenal was still deep in the development stage, this was an intriguing feat that would keep scouts interested in him for the near future. 9 months later, Hankins would appear at the 2015 East Cobb Invitational, 2 inches taller and 15 pounds heavier for Team Elite Prime. His fastball had gained nearly 10 miles an hour, now sitting in the mid-80s, touching 89, but it wasn't just his fastball that had progressed. His secondary stuff had made leaps in improvement as well. Ethan's breaking balls now had better shape and had a better difference in velocity. The curveball was now a low 70s breaker, and his slider now complemented his fastball well in the low 80s. Changeup-wise, he was still fairly raw, but slowly progressing in the upper 70s. This performance would earn him all-tournament team honors, as well as cement him in as a national-level talent. In October of that same year, Hankins would touch 90 for the first time at the 2015 WWBA World Championship. Impressed by his progression, Tim Corbin would offer Ethan a scholarship to Vanderbilt, where he would ultimately commit to on November 16th of 2015. Heading into his sophomore year, the now 6'6", 200-pound righty had experienced yet another velo spike. Throughout the 2016 showcase circuit, Hankins would appear at multiple events sitting in the low 90s, touching 94 with an easy and effortless motion. His fastball now had plus control and plus movement as well, making it arguably the best fastball in the class. At this point, most scouts believed Ethan would have significant draft interest in the near future. The only issues currently were his strong commitment to Vandy and his off-speed still lagging behind his fastball. It seemed like at times Ethan would rely a bit too heavily on his fastball, and even had a couple outings where he didn't throw a single off-speed pitch. 2017 would end up being a huge year for Ethan. In the spring, he would dominate in his high school season, posting a .9 ERA with 77 strikeouts in 46 innings. This would earn him Forsyth County News Pitcher of the Year honors, as well as make him a Gatorade Player of the Year contender. Following his junior season, he would dominate the showcase circuit, winning multiple all-tournament teams and 2 MVP pitcher awards. Other than his sheer dominance, the main difference most scouts noticed was his improved arsenal. Ethan's curveball was now above average with tighter spin and improved command. His changeup now sat in the upper 80s with flashes of plus action. And of course, his fastball had gone up a few ticks, now touching 98. His dominant summer would earn him a ticket to the PG All-American Classic, and would also earn him a spot on the 2017 USA national team. Hankins would make the most of this invitation, as he would throw 12 innings for Team USA and strike out 27 along the way. Heading into his senior season, Ethan was unanimously viewed as the best right-hander in the class and was arguably the #1 prospect in the class. There was even talk that he could become the first prep right-hander ever drafted first overall in the upcoming draft. Despite sitting in the upper 90s already, it was clear that the lanky 17-year-old had more in the tank. If Ethan could show 2 above average or better off-speed pitches and replicate his plus-plus fastball his senior year, it would be hard for any team to pass on him at the #1 spot. Unfortunately, this perfect scenario would not happen. In a mid-February start for Forsyth, Hankins would leave the field early with shoulder tightness. After a month-long layoff, he would return, but his stuff wavered from start to start. Some games he would appear as he did pre-injury, with an elite-level fastball and pinpoint control. Other games his fastball would sit around 90 with a noticeable lack in movement. This made for quite an interesting situation for the scouts evaluating him. On one hand, you have a guy who projects to be an elite-level starter, who could potentially breeze through the minor leagues if you work with him enough on his off-speed. On the other hand, you have a potential injury risk on an already risky early selection due to him being a hard-throwing prep righty. Unfortunately for Ethan, the cautious tales of Tyler Kolek and Riley Pint swayed MLB organizations away from drafting him early as a lottery pick. On June 4th of 2018, Cleveland would draft Hankins 35th overall, a steep drop from the first overall selection he was originally projected to go. Somewhat disappointed by the results, Hankins would shock the baseball world by announcing on June 26th that he had signed with Chipola, a powerhouse community college out of Florida. Despite this, it was announced on July 3rd that Cleveland and Hankins had agreed on a $2.24 million signing bonus, which was about $230,000 above slot value. Now, for us deeply involved in the prospect baseball world, this all makes sense, but I'm sure many of you are confused. How can a Vanderbilt commit get drafted, then sign with another college, and then sign with an MLB team at the same time? Well, let me give you a quick explanation. A prospect who is committed to an NCAA school may sign with another school not affiliated with the NCAA. For instance, I personally almost committed to NIU my junior year. If I had, I still would have had the opportunity to go JUCO instead, as the NJCAA is a different organization. Theoretically, I could have signed with both schools and chose one later on. Ethan used this rule to his advantage. By signing with Chipola, he was able to put more pressure on Cleveland to offer him a higher signing bonus. This also gave him a direct route to the next year's draft if negotiations fell through, as JUCO prospects may be drafted after one season of participation. So all in all, it was a good business move by Hankins and his agent. After the draft, Cleveland would send Ethan to the Arizona Rookie League for a couple of appearances before the season's end. In 2 short starts, he would throw a total of 3 innings, striking out 6 and giving up 2 earned runs. Heading into the 2019 season, Hankins held the 9th overall prospect ranking in the Guardians organization and was sent to low-A Mahoning Valley to start the season. The 19-year-old first-rounder dominated his competition, posting a 1.4 ERA over 38 innings pitched, striking out 43 and walking 18. Impressed by the effort, Cleveland would promote him to full-A Lake County 2 months into the season. The increase in competition must have got to Ethan a bit, as he wasn't awful, but certainly wasn't as effective. In 5 starts, he would post a 4.64 ERA over 21 innings pitched, striking out 28 and walking 12. Throughout this season, his once plus upper 90s fastball had dropped to a plus mid-90s heater with the occasional 97. His curveball, however, had drastically improved into a hard downer with plus depth. Lastly, his changeup still showed flashes of plus potential, but was inconsistent with his movement. With that all said, it was still a great start for a young prospect. And with another offseason of development coming up, there's a good chance he could improve his velocity and command en route to a potential AA promotion. But as we all know, this would never happen due to the canceled 2020 season. Unfortunately, the hard times would not end here for the now 20-year-old. As near the end of spring training in 2021, Ethan would notice elbow soreness. And as you would expect, it was announced on May 12th that he would miss the entire 2021 season due to undergoing Tommy John surgery. But he didn't just miss the 2021 season, he also missed basically all of the 2022 season. So now we must fast forward to 2023. The now 23-year-old prospect has not thrown a true professional inning in over 1,000 days. He is no longer listed as a ranked prospect in the Guardians organization, and the baseball world has seemingly forgot about him. While this all sounds awful and tragic, it also makes for the perfect beginning to a movie-worthy comeback story. But sadly, this isn't that story. In 2023, Hankins would post a 1-7 record with a 4.7 ERA over 46 innings pitched. Throughout those 46 innings, he would strike out 50, but also walk 26. During this season, he would also miss a whole month due to injury. The following year, he'd experience a right shoulder strain in April and would remain on the IR all year. And then finally, on July 20th of 2024, Cleveland would release the former first-round draft pick. On August 2nd of 2024, Ethan would sign with the Gary South Shore Railcats, an independent team in the American Association. And that's pretty much it for his story so far. So now, let me give you my thoughts on this whole situation. First, we have to acknowledge that Ethan really did nothing wrong here. You can't really blame a player for an injury, and of course there is nothing he could have done about the 2020 season. There's always a chance that he didn't take his rehab seriously, I guess, but I personally doubt that to be the case. Despite Tommy John working nearly 70% of the time, I think we're looking at one of the 30%, and clearly there are some shoulder issues going on as well. From my perspective, Cleveland obviously gave him the sink or swim treatment upon his return. Emotionally, I don't like it, but business-wise, it made sense. Cleveland has arguably one of the deepest farm systems in the MLB. And when that's the case, you don't really have roster spots to offer for an unranked draft pick from 6 years ago. This is just a sad reality of the professional sports world. The good news here is that Ethan made well over $1 million after taxes to throw a baseball. He also has the opportunity to still make a comeback in independent ball. Do I find it likely? Well, no, but it's certainly worth a shot. With all that said, I personally wish him nothing but the best going forward, and I hope that he can stay injury-free. And that's about it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. Make sure to comment any current or former prospects you'd like me to cover. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.